Good morning, Happy New Year. And with the new year, we have a new name for our program. You're now watching CT24. I'll try to remember it every time I say it today. We begin our first show in 2024 talking about college financial aid. If parents or students are out there, they know that federal form that college students from incoming freshmen to rising seniors, they must all fill it out. It's called the FAFSA. It stands for the Free Application for Student Financial Aid. And joining me to talk about some changes that have happened and some big hiccups as well, and what it means for students in financial aid is Betsy Morgan. She's the founder and CEO of College Matters, LLC, a business based in Madison that helps undergrad and grad students work through this whole process. You must be getting a lot of questions. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Of course. Glad to be here.
So tell me about what you're hearing from parents. I saw one parent say they were having a panic attack. And I was going to start with, we should calm them down, Betsy, but talking to you before we began, it sounds like maybe a lot of people are having panic attacks.
Yeah, a lot of people are having panic attacks. I mean, what happened was the FAFSA Simplification Act of 2020 mandated that the new FAFSA was put into play by the 31st of December. And so the launch did happen, but it has been a little bit rough. The education department they're calling it a soft launch, meaning that's what's happening is that as the education department is running into trouble with volume, just the site crashing or even just functionality not working exactly as it's supposed to, they're taking it down, they're making modifications, they're troubleshooting, and then they're launching it, putting it back up again. So understandably, families are really frustrated on when they can't get it completed.
Yeah, I saw people commenting that they were, logging on in the middle of the night trying to find a time when it was up and running.
Right.
This is an important thing because, it's been a long time since I was in college, but I know this is the governing document for how much financial aid you're going to get. So everything, you need to do this if you're going to go to college and not just write a check.
Exactly.
So what does this mean for parents? If you have someone who's a senior in high school right now thinking about being a freshman, what is this timing? It must be a real mess.
Well, I mean, the first thing I say is do take a deep breath. I mean, the college financial aid offices are well aware of this delay and what it's going to mean to them also in terms of processing financial aid offers. So they know what's going on, and they are going to have grace, I think, in terms of deadlines and things like that. So it's going to be rough, but I think that they will get there. It's just going to be a much more condensed timeline for these colleges. And normally the FAFSA opens in October. But now we're 2 months down the road, so these poor financial aid offices too are going to have to really hustle to get award letters out in a timely manner. And
your business deals with all sorts of things with people going to college, how to find the right school, getting all sorts of different things, not just financial aid. But that's such a big piece of it, especially if you're looking at schools with very different price tags. Making that decision may have to wait for all this to get straightened out. Is that what you're seeing with a lot of your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been really hard to even predict and help them choose what colleges to apply to, because a lot of the functionality and the methodology in terms of how they were going to be processing and calculating financial aid has changed as well, and that's frustrating. We always say it's like, imagine taking your financial information and now sending it to 7 different countries to file your taxes. I mean, that could be how different the awards are going to be that come back from these schools, and that's going to be a challenge as well.
Yeah, it's all going to play into that ultimate decision of where do you go, where do you attend class.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love, and I didn't know it until you just said it, that the law had the word simplification in it that changed this, and that sounds like famous last words to me. But there are some things that make sense as far as simplifying it, linking with the IRS that might help some parents, some linking with the Pell Grants that might simplify some things. Tell us about some of the changes that were designed to do the simplification.
Yeah, exactly. So, the first thing is the form hasn't been changed in 50 years. So there was a lot to do in terms of getting this new, really making it much more adaptable. And, I think one of the best things, like you said, is having more students that are going to be Pell eligible. Far more students are going to be able to afford to go to college, which is a wonderful thing. The other nice thing about the simplification is, like you said, the IRS information is going to feed in, so there's far fewer questions. On the flip side, there's some other things that I think might have some parents that are going to be a little bit caught off guard. One of the main ones is the removal of what they used to call the sibling discount. which means that if you had 2 students in college at the same time, just do a little, back of the napkin math. If they said that your family could afford $50,000, in the past they would say, okay, student number 1 would have to pay 25, student number 2 would have to pay 25. That's going away. So families, I think, are going to be really surprised when all of a sudden they get their financial aid award back and the school is going to say, no, you owe 50 for student 1 and 50 for student 2. That's going to make, for a lot of families, college is going to be completely unaffordable, and they're really going to scramble to have to figure out how to afford that.
And that, especially with some of these delays, they might get that really late in the process, that word.
Correct. I think they're going to really try to get it done by April 1st, which is when, they try to get all award letters out. But again, the timeline is going to be really tight.
So what are you telling your clients? If you have people, and I know a lot of these folks you've been working with longer than just on this process, so if you're getting those panicked calls, if you're getting people who are worried about this process, what's your advice?
So a couple of things. The first thing would be to really have your ducks in a row before you sit down to even file. Because you've got to anticipate that it might be crashing. So, every person that needs to provide information, so that would be the student, the parents, or, any other, what they call a contributor, needs to get an FSA ID. So you can do that now. So get that, have that ready to go. Then gather all of your documents. Have your, your income tax forms, your bank statements, social security numbers, all of that with you so that when you sit down, you can really get through the form pretty quickly. And what we've heard from families that have gotten through it is, it is simplified, which is a great thing. They are getting through it sometimes in less than an hour. But, just also, be wary that it could crash and maybe, do it off peak. Try to maybe do it in the morning, later on at night, where, it's less likely that it's going to crash on you.
And so are you seeing, I know it's early in the year, are we seeing any signs of progress that some of these wrinkles, are things starting to look better, or is it too early to say?
I have heard families say that they have gotten through it. So that is good news. So I do think that families are starting to get through it. And, we'll see as it rolls out. I do think they are really actively trying to work on the bugs and make sure that, that families can complete it as quickly as possible.
We only got about 30 seconds left. I know you're local. You came up to be nice enough to talk about this. Tell us about your business real quick. Who can you help?
Sure. We work with students all the way from, 9th grade to 12th grade on the college planning process. And that is, certainly affordability is a big piece, but also making sure that they have, the right match, can find schools where they're going to thrive, and really find their dreams for the next step of the process.
And how do people find you?
On the web, we're college-matters.com.
All right, perfect. And then I'm sure you're going to get a lot of questions from people about the FAFSA because you just said you're the expert. So it's the Simplification Act. Remember, it's simplified. Just give it time. It'll eventually be simplified. Betsy Morgan, founder and CEO of College Matters. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.